everybody. Welcome to episode 2 of A Quick Hello. My name is Todd Markle, founder of Hello Hire. Episode 2 is going to be all about using text for recruiting. And we're not talking about just texting a candidate to see you when they're available or texting them directions to your office, but we're talking about using text as really a more thoughtful strategy in your overall talent acquisition plan. So during today's episode, we'll be talking about really 4 different things. One is why consider using text for recruiting. 2, what are some of the ways that you can incorporate text into your recruitment strategy, some of the actual tactics that you could use. 3, I'd like to talk about some of the players in the text recruiting space. This is not an endorsement or an advertisement for any of these players, but we've been doing some research and investigation into this space and wanted to share some of our sort of top providers with you. And then 4, we'll give you some recommendations for getting started with text in your recruitment strategy. So why use text for recruiting? I'd like you to think about 4 different reasons. First one is speed, especially initial speed to reach candidates is really important to today's market. And you can do that much more quickly than you can do via phone calls or email, and eliminate a lot of the back and forth that both of those 2 channels historically have. Number 2 is greatly increase your response rates. You have vastly higher open rates for text compared to email. When you look at those actual numbers, you have about 90+% open rate for text, where email it's hovering around 20% right now. And in terms of response rates, employers are seeing 30 to 40% of texts being responded to, where email response rates are around 8%, so greatly increased response rates. Next, improve efficiency, process efficiency through automation. We hear about robots and AI taking over the recruitment space, and some people get kind of a little twitchy about that. But this is actually a great use case on taking some of the administrative elements out of the process and allowing your recruiters to really focus on more value-added things, such as interacting with candidates, getting them excited about your organization, working with hiring managers, etc. And the 4th thing is access. So when you think about it, everybody, or essentially almost everyone, is walking around with their phone or smartphone with them today. But they may not have access, a lot of potential candidates may not have access to their computer or laptop or things like that throughout the day, especially if you're targeting retail workers, restaurants, other employees, sales employees who might be out in the field. You really have greater access to talent when using text versus other channels. So let's shift now and take a look at 4 ways that you could use text for your recruiting. First one, initial candidate outreach. So instead of placing an ad, you could send or use a text marketing campaign to individuals who are, I'd recommend looking in your current database to find candidates who match what you're looking for in the right location, etc. Or you can use a database provider to do that. Second one, automating some of the initial screening. I was talking about just a moment ago about taking out some of the administrative burden. You can now use texting tools essentially to do some of that pre-screening work, ask some of those pre-screening questions and get through those very quickly. Again, allow your recruiters really to focus more on value-added conversations versus those ones that are very transactional. Scheduling via text is certainly something to consider, and something we're starting to see more of. Candidates can schedule a time that's convenient for them via text. Once they do that on a lot of these tools, then they can get automated reminders from the company that their interview slot or phone screen slot is coming up. They can get directions to the office and very cool functionalities like that. And finally, text to apply, or text for more information. Instead of your traditional help wanted sign out there that just says inquire within for more information, or come in to fill out an application, why not include a way that someone, a number on that sign, someone can text that number, and an application will be presented to them on their phone, or they can get more information about the company on their phone. So seeing a lot of help wanted signs out there right now, and it would be really simple to include a text number on there that the candidate can interact with the company, instead of having to fill out a paper application in the location or go home and find the application online. All right, so shifting to a few of the players in the text recruiting space. Again, not a commercial for these folks, but a few that I'd recommend you check out. TextRecruit is arguably the most popular and well-known in this space, or has been. They are now owned by iCIMS, so that's something to consider as well. You don't have to be an iCIMS customer, however, to use TextRecruit. Canvas is a newer player on the scene that really views themselves as the first interviewing platform, provided via text. Really interesting technology that they're using. There's Next, NEXXT. They have a bunch of different product offerings in the talent acquisition space, but they do have a texting offering. And the unique thing about Next is that they offer you access to their candidate database, and then you can text off of that. And then two others that I think are doing some really interesting things in this space and are really more kind of comprehensive offerings are Paradox Livia. They build themselves as really an AI recruiting assistant. And I see them really taking things to a whole new level in terms of text and chat interactions. And then there's another pretty interesting option out there called Alio that you might want to check out. So there are a lot of other just sort of broad general text options in this space also that are not specific to TA that might work for your organization as well. But the ones I've mentioned today are specifically playing in the TA space. So let's wrap up with a few recommendations. So what I encourage you to do is think a little bit differently about how you're using text, and kind of push yourself to think about this more from a marketing perspective and doing things a little bit differently. So, how might you use text to enhance what you're doing in the talent acquisition space that would allow you to move faster, would allow you to, improve efficiency in your process, would allow you to reach candidates that might otherwise be difficult to reach. If you're worried about how this would play within your organization, and granted it's not right for every organization, but ask some current employees what they would think, ask some of your candidates, but get some feedback on how this might work. Demo a few of the options that I've talked about today. I think you'll find a lot of value in doing that, even if you're, you think it's really a remote chance that you would use text recruiting. But really interesting technology, and I think you'll be surprised. I'd be surprised if you're not pretty interested in doing something in this space after going through a few of those demos. And finally, start small. As with anything, I think there's not many organizations that it would make sense for just sort of this huge push to use text. But I encourage you to start thinking about it. Start small. Maybe start with a certain position that's hard to fill, or a certain segment of your organization. Start using one of these text tools and see how it works out for you. But I'm seeing a lot of activity in this space, and expect that to continue as we see more and more of a shift to interactions from organizations via text. So that's today's a quick hello. Hope you found that information to be helpful. Thank you for joining us. If you do have any thoughts or questions on this topic, I'd love to hear from you, and please feel free to contact me at todd.markle, which is MARKLE, at hellohirecxs.com. And we encourage you to tune in for next week's edition. But in the meantime, our friendly reminder to please always be kind to your candidates. Have a great week, and we'll see you on our next episode. Bye for now.